We're children of the same God.
Driving home, I said, Sam, I said, why do you think I got more votes than you did? And he said,
because you're taller.
don't you love that?
I was there at Vineville Baptist. I didn't want any kind of voting on anybody could come or not come to a church. Christ didn't vote on who could be in or out. You don't vote, period. Jesus was a revolutionary and a civil rightser and a feminist and a... Sure he was. If I thought the New Testament and Christianity was about the submission of women, I would not be a Christian. All this that people come up with about putting women in their place, that's bullshit. Show me that. Show me where Christ ever put anybody in their place. No! No, no, no! It was in 1963, the year Sam O'Neill came to Mercer, that I had my eyes opened about women. I read The Feminine Mystique. And just as the whole civil rights movement brought to my attention the injustices done to blacks, the Feminine Mystique brought to my attention that women were shuffled into teaching and nursing and all the women's careers. Not doctor, lawyer, or Indian chief. Growing up, it never occurred to me that I could be anything but a teacher or a nurse. I mean, I might have gone into math or science. I was told those careers were out of women's reach. Business, law, medicine, forget it.
From The Feminine Mystique by Betty Friedan. Women learn that truly feminine women do not want careers, higher education, political rights. Women were taught to pity the neurotic, unfeminine, unhappy women who wanted to be poets or physicists or presidents. All they had to do was devote their lives from earliest girlhood to finding a husband and bearing children. The problem lay buried, unspoken, for many years in the minds of American women.
I taught at Mercer when there was not one woman in the law school because they didn't accept women's applications. There were no women's sport teams. If you played sports, it'd mess up your menstruation, and you wouldn't be able to have babies. It would hurt baby making, see? You had to wear raincoats over your shorts when you went to the gym. I am not kidding. And it never occurred to us to protest our situation at Mercer. Never. It never did. Wearing those raincoats was like wearing a veil. It never occurred to us that this was ridiculous. I know you think this is crazy, but until the civil rights movement, we did not begin to look at our own rights, see?
This is not what being a woman means. Only when women are permitted to grow to their full strength, to realize their full capacities, can the feminine mystique be shattered.
Here's a children's game. Red Rover, Red Rover. All right. You have two sides and everybody's holding hands. And you get these real grips and you say, Red Rover, sends Mary right over. So Mary has to run at you. She has to break somebody's hold. She has to run through the line. And you do this until one side has everybody. But see, if you run and you jump at the last minute and you raise your knee to these arms, you can break them.
My family lived in East Macon, where the Coliseum is now, near the Oppy River. And the water, when it really rains, will come up near our street. They call us river rats. This is me at age 12. My mother is a maid. We help her clean, help her scrub floors, tile floors, on our hands and knees. And this one time, I was helping my mother with one of her jobs, and I hurt my back. And she took me to the doctor, and he told her.
Well, anyway, if you make these children get out there lazy butts and work, that's what's wrong with her. She's lazy. She's not using her muscles.
Mama said, Dr. Burton, she was scrubbing the floors when she got this cramp in her back.
I will not think about these things until I am a grown woman, and then it will make me angry.
My parents, oh my Lord, they worked so hard to make sure that all 10 of us were educated.
We go to church every day, twice on Sunday. We walk to the Black Library on Saturday, and then we walk back home. And if we miss, we get a spanking. And if we say it looks like it's gonna rain, and that's the reason we can't go, well, we better hope it rains.
We would go to music lessons once a week.
I get my piano lessons from a teacher who is blind. Her name is Pinky Wilder. She went to school with Ray Charles. And now a lot of times, I play with my eyes closed.
This is me in 1964, at age 17. That year, the first schools in Macon integrated.
I am a senior, a straight A student in the black high school. They bring all of us into Mercer to be tested before we integrate the school system and give us reading and comprehension tests to see who will most likely make it in the white schools.
Every book we were ever given in our schools had another white school stamped in there. We were given all their old books.
While I'm taking the test, I heard the white lady who administered them saying,
These kids can't read. They've got them fooled over in that school thinking that they're A students.
like it was no big deal whether we hear it or not.
I'm 54 years old, and I still remember that.
That was one of the main reasons I volunteered to integrate. I wanted to see if I was smart as they said I was. I wanted to see if I could make it.
Nobody knew what was going to happen that first day of school in 1964, the first year of integration in the city of Macon. The police escorted us.
When I went to Miller that day as one of 7 black students integrating an all-white girls' school, they told me,
Well, we have too many of you. You need to go down to Dudley Hughes Vocational School.
And I'll never forget walking all the way over to Bill Randall's office. Bill Randall was a civil rights activist in Macon who helped get Miller integrated. I said,
Mr. Randall, they told me they had too many of us already, but I don't want to go to the vocational school because I want to go to college.
and he said,
Baby, you walk right back on over there and you go on to class.
and I said, yes, sir.
So now I'm walking back over there to go back to class. I am so tired of walking.
When I was a senior in high school, a group of us girls had a singing group. We called ourselves
The Bojels.
We had a 4-part harmony.
We wrote our own music.
We choreographed our own dance steps.
Those girls at Miller, those girls were so crazy. They already had me placed as a star. They would write things in my yearbook like,
Don't forget us when you make it big time. Remember us when you're in Hollywood.
one day we had that whole gym, guys and girls, screaming as if we'd already been to the mountaintop.
But a few days after that concert,
I'm in the cafeteria, and somebody takes the cap off the milk and throws it at me and hits me in the back with it.
and I looked at my friend and I said,
Now, I am not going to turn around to see who threw that cap, because if I do, both of us will end up going to jail.
so it really didn't matter about the music. They love the singing, but they don't love you.
It is later that year, and I am trying to apply to Mercer, and my guidance counselor is calling my mom to let her know that I'm being...
Uncooperative, obstinate, disrespectful.
I am a senior. I have a little bit more guts. This is one time I will not agree or go along with the program or keep my mouth closed.
Hello, Mrs. Mitchum.
And they put me on the phone with my mother, and she said, Cookie, what's the matter?
The guidance counselor refuses to write a letter of recommendation to the college of my choice. She's willing to grant me scholarships to
Savannah State, Fort Valley State, Albany State.
All black schools.
but they told me I'm not good enough to go to Mercer.
My parents didn't want us kids getting involved in any kind of conflict, so I was surprised when my mother said, Cookie, I'm behind you. I'm behind you 100%.
We are not going to disgrace ourselves by sending her over to Mercer with SAT scores as low as she has. You'll never make it.
All of the other white seniors went wherever they wanted to go. But the 7 of us who had integrated that school, they wouldn't let any of us apply to Mercer. I tell her I do not need her help. I'll get into Mercer on my own.
When I got home, I called the admissions office at Mercer University, and I would not let the man off the phone until they let me talk to someone about this.
If I send in an application, you'll turn it down. You need to see me. You need to hear my voice. The application is not me.
So they set up a meeting with the dean of students, Joe Hendricks.
And I tell him, I don't care what those scores say. I know that I can do this work if I'm given the chance.
So Dean Hendricks said,
Well, it's hard to accept students not recommended by their schools. We'll give y'all a chance. We're gonna let y'all take a summer school course. Now, if you don't pass that course, you can't come in.
I said, I'm going to pass that course.
at Miller's graduation, they overlooked my name when they were handing out the honor tassels.
I'm sorry, these are only for honor students.
I'm sure my name is on the list. I am an honor student.
Oh, yeah. Here it is.
My child tells me.
I don't want to hear about segregation, Mama. I just don't want to hear it.
And I said, well, Elise, I know you may not want to hear these things, but these are the things that we endured. My name is Samaria Mitchell.
My friends call me Cookie.
They said I wasn't smart enough, disrespected that I wasn't going to make it.
In 1965, I enrolled at Mercer University.
My parents dropped me off at Mercer, and I felt very alone. And that feeling intensified over the course of the next 3 years.
Students, they just kind of ignored us. Like we were invisible. You know, like the invisible man.
They didn't want us there.
I tried to pledge true sorority. I did. And they said, no, we can't have you. You don't fit in here.
The only amount of communication we had with our white colleagues was scribbling on the bathroom walls. And that was usually about some kind of sexual mythology. They thought we were these sexual giants, you know, definitely wanted to rape white women. And it was, it was primitive. It didn't have a clue as to who we were.
You had them coming out of the country, and they would believe stupid things like, do you read red? They felt like they had the right to come into my room, pretending to see my roommate. And they kept hanging around until midnight. And I was wondering what the heck was wrong with them. One girl was from Winder, Georgia. She had been taught that black people grew tails after midnight. She was serious. She actually believed that bull. I threw her butt out of my room.
I had an English class in Willingham Chapel, and I will never forget that. I was the only black student in that class, and I sat down, and the students filter in, and nobody sits near me. Nobody sits in my row. The entire class sat behind me. And so that is a picture that I could never forget. I remember I called my mother the first week I was there, and I told her, I'm coming home. This is crazy. This doesn't make any sense. I mean, it was... You thought you had gone to hell.
I'll tell you my biggest realization, and probably my lowest moment, was when I was walking across campus one day. I was going back to my dormitory, coming from class. I was just on the sidewalk, minding my own business, right in front of Porter Hall. And a group of white boys passed by and spit at me. And some of the very film touched my life. I was in a pensive mood, so I didn't expect that. And it brought me back, I guess, to reality. To the reality of Macon, Georgia at that time. And I felt angry, and I felt, well, where am I? What is this? And why am I here? If I have to be taunted with insults such as this. No. I felt very low at that point.
Joseph Hendricks, Dean of Students, recruited me for Mercer.
He was a country boy. Nowhere.
He simply is a force of nature.
I went to Mercer as an undergraduate, and one of my liberators was Mac Bride. If there was ever a prophetic teacher, he was one.
You ask what is a prophet? A prophet is a nobody coming from the woods, see. A prophet doesn't have to have a tradition. Amos says, I'm a nobody. I came from the woods. I have no village. I have no degrees. I speak. Who do I speak for? Yahweh.
The matter was, he was